Shalom, family. You are now tuned in to Tmhc TV. I'm your host, Kadai, and we're in the building today. So hit the like button, share button, let the family know we're part two from the discussion. Pathetic destiny and the rise of the children of Israel. We got the mighty Hebrew Elder Kohim. I hope I said the name right, Elder Kohim. In the building, and we just gonna get it in. We got more guests coming later. I'm not gonna hold y'all up. Let the family know we're in the building. We're gonna go on and pass it on to the mighty Hebrew. Go ahead.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. Can you hear me good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. I just Prince Amiel, he's on his way on right now. He just contacted me. I'm telling him now, I just sent him the link. So all is well.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. First and foremost, I give all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, those striving for righteousness' sake. I say unto the family, Shalom Aleichem. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be here today amongst the children of Yisrael, dealing with the prophetic destiny and the rising of the children of Yisrael. Also, I give honor and praise to all those that came before us, returning back into the land of Israel, starting from the powerful vision that our forefather, Adonai Ben Ami Ben Yisrael HaMoshiach, had in 1966. Then 1967, 400 Hebrew Israelites left from the Chicago-Detroit area, living 20 miles outside of Monrovia, Liberia. And then from 1969 to this day, we landed in the set-apart land of Israel, northeastern Africa. Could you put the PowerPoint up, good brother? This right here is a subject matter that really touches my heart because, Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, to me, in my eyes, is the starting process by way of the brothers and sisters that came before us. And these are the brothers and sisters that I would like to bring forth to the minds of our people. So when you get a chance, good brother, could you please put up the PowerPoint? Hallelujah. So right here, we see this picture right here. Now, why is this picture right here important? We have part two thus far. We have part two of prophetic destiny and the rising of the children of Yisrael. But let's just look at this picture real quick. Let's conceptualize the picture, because even though we see the poster, what we fail to see is what's behind the poster. And what's behind the poster is the land of Yisrael, northeastern Africa. Prior to our brothers and sisters returning back from the Abeti Hebrew Culture Center, which in turn rose as the Kingdom of Yah before, as well as the one, you had those as known also as the one, with Prince Dr. Shaliat bin Yahuda, my spiritual Saba, Prince Asiel bin Yisrael, and others. We don't even know that even, our brother right here, the chief Levite priest, Kohen, and his, bloodline relations with Ben Ami, and on and on and on. When we look at the background of this, we see the set apart land. But on the surface, we see four powerful men. We see Prince Asiel bin Yisrael, the international ambassador of the original Hebrew Israelite nation. Then you see HaKohen being Eleazar, powerful, powerful brother, as well as the personal scribe of the late Ben Ami. Then you see Prince Sar Amiel bin Yisrael. Not only is he a powerful historian, spiritual brother, as well as a prince, as well as a Sar in the kingdom of Yah, but also one of the most powerful musicians, and producers ever. And then you have the younger generation, myself. You have myself, coming in as being a prince in a better world, and ambassador in the making by the way of Prince Asiel ben Yisrael. You see in all this full circle of Israelites from the elders to the younger ones, and we're in the land. So we're not just conceptualizing being in the land. We're actually in the land. So this is a very, very important thing to understand. So if possible, I want to get you involved, good brother, Yegadayahu. Could you real fast go to Isaiah chapter 11:11, speaking to the host? Could you do that for me? Do you have your scriptures on you?
Hold on, let me grab it.
To the Rabbah, from Wada, Rabbah. Because this verse right here, Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11 to 12, is going to link the younger generation, the older generation with the younger generation with the older generation. Now, I think before we go there, it's two verses I want you to read. I want you to read Isaiah chapter 12, verse 7, and I want you to read Isaiah 11:11 and 12. Whenever you're ready.
You said Isaiah chapter 12, verse 7?
I need for you first to read Zechariah chapter 12, verse 7. Then I want you to read Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11 to 12.
Uh, 12, verse 7. Okay, Zechariah 12, verse 7. The Lord also shall save the 10 of Judah first, the glory of the house of David, and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem. Do not magnify themselves against Judah.
Stop. Read that one more time with a strong voice. Read that one more time, because this is very important. Come on.
The Lord shall also save the tents of Judah first, the house of David, and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem, themselves against Judah.
Now, the Most High said that the tents of Judah he will bring out first, and also the rest of Jerusalem. What does that mean? Out of all the 12 tribes of Yisrael, it would be Judah first that would start the process of establishing the kingdom of Yah, as Daniel chapter 2:44 stated. And as we can see, Judah was the ones from among the so-called African Americans to establish the kingdom of Yah in the land of Israel, northeastern Africa. And when it speaks about Jerusalem and the rest of Jerusalem, that's going to be the rest of the tribes. Now that was the first wave of Israelites, because prior to the Israelites returning back to the land of Yisrael, it wasn't no other Israelites in a mass group to leave anywhere on this planet and return back to the land of Yisrael, but the tents of Judah first. Those that came in by the way of 1948 did not fulfill the prophecy of Zechariah chapter 12, verse 7. It was our people that fulfilled the prophecy, the so-called Negroes that were scattered in the wilderness of North America. Now go to Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11 and 12. Hallelujah. Because I'm painting a picture of this prophetic destiny and the rising of the children of Yisrael, okay? Because we have those that say we're not Judah, that the so-called Negroes in the diaspora, we don't have anything to do with the children of Yisrael. But as we can see thus far, it speaks about the tents of Judah would dwell first back into the land. And we know that we, the so-called Negroes, were the first from out of the tribes to dwell back in the land. Now read Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11 to 12.
Isaiah chapter 11. Yeah, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Isaiah chapter 11, verse 11. As in that day, set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Cush and from Elam and from Hamat, out of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
So what you're seeing now is the second wave, or the second of the Most High's outstretched arm, returning the children of Israel from the four corners of the earth. The first sign was the tents of Judah dwelling in the land first. Then it said the rest of Jerusalem, meaning the rest of the 12 tribes, because you got to remember, Jerusalem was the original capital of all the 12 tribes into the splitting of the kingdom of Israel into two kingdoms. And Samaria was the northern kingdom's capital, and Jerusalem remained the southern kingdom. But in Zechariah chapter 12, verse 7, that is specifically identifying all the 12 tribes as being Jerusalem, going back into that original mind state, and Judah being the so-called Negroes that would set up the ensign, meaning our banner, our flag in the land, saying that we Yisrael. Go to the next slide, because now we're going to get it in. And like I said, the Kohen, he can come in. You're going to also have Prince Amiel, Prince Asiel coming in a few minutes, bringing forth their presentation, dealing with this same topic. So now we have the symbol here. We have, or the logo, to do the work, making a better world. This is our model. This is our model. And as you can see, the lion right there. And the gold is symbolic to that strength that the lion possesses. So we know that Judah is bringing forth, by the way of our actions and attitude, and the work by righteous, set apart performance that the Most High Yahweh had installed upon us to do. We are here to establish Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, as well as the International Hebrew Israelite Supreme Court, or sovereign nationalistic Supreme Court, amongst all the camps, and consolidate them as one to born a government body politic. So this is what we're doing as Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalists all over the world. We're not concerned about your post-Torah philosophical views. What we're concerned about is your sovereign nationalistic connection with the greater body of Israelites all over the world. But again, the capital coming from out of southern Israel will be the supreme authority over all the 12 tribes all over the world. Next slide. Next slide. As you see, the mighty Hebrew, my singular symbol as well is gold as well, symbolic to strength. As you can see in the center, you see the menorah and the badge, which is symbolic to freedom, justice, and equality by the way of Torah Constitution. This is what's going to bring us together, and we have to have Levitical ecclesiastical jurisdiction, and we need a Davidic national jurisdiction. This is why you see the presence of the Davidic national jurisdiction here, as well as the Levitical ecclesiastical jurisdiction. There has to be a balance when we set up government. When you go into Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 13 to 18, it tells us to choose wisely men from amongst our tribes that can litigate Torah Constitution. This is what we're bringing forth to the people. Our people need order right now. They need a righteous example, and the righteous example has come by the way of southern Yisrael, northeastern Africa. We're already established in the land of Yisrael. It is for us that is spread all across the world to now unite by the way of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. Next slide. Now I'm going to speak briefly of this and then let the Kohen speak on this, because he is the founder of the Institute of Hebrew Fundamentalism and Cultural Research. It is very important for us not to educate our children, but to dedicate our children. We need to go back to the original Hebrew thought of dedicating our children. So it's very important that we set up institutions of higher learning that will have us to focus and dedicate ourselves and our future generations to this understanding of the kingdom of Yah. What does it mean to be a part of the kingdom of Yah by the way of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism? You have anything to say, Kohen?
No, it's excellent. So far, everything you said is excellent.
Hallelujah. And this is
I was
why.
just looking at that you were speaking on, say that the land was established, after 50 years of being here, Yah has of us being back home. You understand? That's the greater aspect of what's going on right now. He has approved of our family coming back to the land. That part has been shown to be grounded. So now it offers, the way for the other 12 tribes to start coming home. A redemptive process. We set the pace for a redemptive process to come back home, because really a lot of our people don't know how. They don't know what to do. They don't have no idea how to come together. But we already have a blueprint of that. I mean, that's foolproof.
Kane, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is why it's very important for us, like the Kohen said, this is the time, this is the season, and it's very important for all of us to get involved in the institution of Hebrew fundamentalism and cultural research. This institute will be open coming 2018. We will, get everybody involved, because Israel will have to participate. If we want any of our institutions to stay up, we have to participate. And in the future, we will get involved by telling the children of Israel how they can participate in the land and even outside the land. Next slide. Because if one wants to admit it or not, we have to financially support our brothers and sisters. Right here, as you can see, it says, "Welcome to the Mighty Hebrew University." This is another institution of higher learning, but connected to the one, to Kingdom of Yah / Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. So at the Mighty Hebrew University, we specialize strictly in, if you want to say, I call it the X-Files understanding of the Hebrew culture, because the stuff that we teach at the Mighty Hebrew University, you got to deal with diplomacy by the way of the School of the Prophets. As everybody knows, we teach Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, international law, Hebrew anthropogenesis, Hebrew cosmogenesis. We teach things that, average Hebrew Israelite settings don't teach. So this right here is for those that want to take like a big leap into higher walks of learning. So that's what we specialize at the Mighty Hebrew University. And we also, specialize, as I said, in sovereignty. And we are the descendants of our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And in our rebellion against the Most High Yahweh, we have found ourselves fulfilling prophecies of dispersions from our land in northeastern Africa and enslaved throughout the world. So that's what we involved in right now at the Mighty Hebrew University. As a matter of fact, right now, we're studying understanding ancient archaic Hebrew symbolism. We also have guest speakers at the Mighty Hebrew University thus far. As guest speakers, we had Prince Amiel ben Yisrael speak. We had Ambassador Abraham ben Levi ben Yisrael from the United Nation of Israel speak. We also had Dr. Justin Russell speak. Powerful Kabbalists. I mean, we had quite a few people speak. Wu-Tang affiliate rapper from Sons of Man, Hellraiser, came and spoke. So we had quite a few people thus far speak. So, and it's growing and it's growing. And I mean, it's phenomenal. Mighty Hebrew University, we have classes every Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 9:30 p.m. We at lesson number 11 in understanding ancient Hebrew or ancient archaic Hebrew symbolism. And the next semester, we're going to be dealing with the ancient pre-Diluvian civilizations. So that's going to be very powerful. Next slide. Next slide. Here we go. Now, these men right here, some are still with us in the flesh. Others have ascended to be guides for us today. But as y'all can clearly see on the left-hand side, we have Prince Asiel ben Yisrael. You know, we see him right there. Rest in completeness to Dr. Prince Shaliach ben Yehuda, the original dean of the School of the Prophets Institute, as well as the late Adonenu ben Ami ben Yisrael HaMoshiach. May Abba Gadol rest in peace, completeness. And as we can clearly see right here, we see the first set leadership. And we're going to get into that in the kingdom of Yah, establishing a sovereign government by the way of these princes right here that we see. You know, these were some of the most, if not the most powerful leaders within the nation of Israel at large, not just the kingdom of Yah, because Israel, all of us, is the kingdom of Yah. But I'm talking about that Pacific line that we see that left the lands of the great captivity and settled in Israel, northeastern Africa. This right here is the process or the starting process of setting up and attaining a theocratic government, which I like to call a Yahlicratic government. This is the process that we say, we know what, the spiritual Magna Charta now is in our hands, and now we're going to self-govern ourselves. This is right here the starting process, or the physical process. I won't say the starting process, because there were Israelites before us that was manifesting a form of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. But it was our founding forefathers that came from our kingdom of Yah that started the physical process of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, where you can see it, you can touch it, you can taste it, you can smell it, and you can feel it. You can hear it. Cain Kohen?
Yes, you can feel it. I mean, it's established. It's in your heart. You understand? It's there.
Okay.
And it keeps you also, you know, you have to stay focused on the mindset of being one that, because see, you can lose focus on trying to escape. You understand? See, we are escaping from the lands of our captivity. It's not a move. It's people that's at this particular time. It's a migration of a lot of our family coming from all over the earth, coming back to Israel, and there's coming back to Eden, because we were scattered to the four corners of the earth. So but some of them is walking across the sands. They floating across boats. You understand? We can get on a plane and come over here. And it's so simple for us to migrate, but it's people getting caught up into all kinds of slave things, trying to escape from the atrocities. We don't even realize that we are refugees right now. To the land as a refugee. That means you coming in for refuge. You understand? But if you don't leave America thinking that you're a refugee, then you're going to still have the mindset to go back to, America, because our dependency is on America. We depend on for food, shelter, and clothing 24/7. We depend on that system. Without it, if they cut us off one day, you understand, we finish. Just to be in America, you have the mindset to depend on Pharaoh. Or to be in the land, you have the mindset to depend on the system of the land that you happen to be in. That's automatic. You have to change that mindset and say, I want to go out and create my own nation, my own net. That's another mindset. But if you still caught up into the old mindset, you understand, still trying to not convinced whether you want to leave or not, you're gonna cut yourself off. This is my major point. You know, I'm talking about developing that mindset to go and start and resettle, take your children to another place. You have to have that mindset and keep it. Stay focused on it.
Okay. Absolutely. Go to the next slide. And that's something that we have to, as a people, conceptualize and manifest. As Prince Amiel said, we have to manifest a form of actualization, because you're right, Kohen. Like, a lot of us, we're afraid to, and I can speak on, because you already in the land, so I can speak on what I see around me with Israel and the United States. It's a good thing that we're Israel, and we do all how we think, we do all the set apart feasts, and with this, that, the third, but we're not manifesting the actualization of government, because, like you said, we're so complacent and comfortable with massa that if we leave from the massa's house and continuing to be under the table getting the crumbs, we fear that, because we fear, losing that dependency. We have become very complacent over here, just being happy and content that we Israel, and that's it. And I think one of the major problems is our understanding of post-Torah doctrine.
Right.
Even when you don't even have to always use the word post-Torah, even those that say they're Torah only as well, they can get trapped in, because as everybody know, I'm Torah centered. When you look at a lot of the brothers and sisters that's both Torah centered and Messianic in the States, they're so engulfed in their belief, it seems as if they're talking religion. And as a matter of fact, it becomes religion, because it loses, or we have lost, the redemptive process. Because the redemptive process is what declares Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. Because before then, it was just a thought. When we was talking about being Israel and the land of Israel was ours, it was a thought that, one day we will return. And you were there, Kohen, and now I'm speaking on the psychology of it. Those in the 60s, that came into this culture before the presence of us was there in the land, there wasn't no type of doctrine or pressure about us. If we go to the land, this is what will happen in a negative way. It was just more or less, it wasn't the right time to return to the land. This is what they were saying during the time that the elder was a youngster. Now we're in the land. Now the doctrine is, it's this destruction doctrine. And whatever Israelite is there, they're going to be destroyed. So all this came about based upon a thought process of not wanting to leave.
Right.
You got to see how psychologically, and when I say you, I don't mean nobody on this panel, but we have to see how psychologically damaged we became as a nation, to the point our doctrine changes based upon our fear not wanting to leave this land. Go to the next slide.
Can I say this, Prince, to add to that?
Yes, sir.
See, what the sons and daughters and the saints, you understand, that's in the today, what they don't understand is they are literally sheep. Okay. And so they are sheep because the shepherds that they have were the brothers that was sitting with me when I was leaving. Taught by men that was telling us at that particular time that it wasn't the time to go. But we developed the mindset that it was the time to go. Because when I left, the brothers and sisters had been in the land for 10 years. That means that they had been surviving for 10 years without any basic problems. I went to studying and to checking on their efforts. Once the brothers came down from Jerusalem, they asked me, was I ready to go? Yes, I'm ready to go. If we in the land, that means that the Most High has given us the privilege to come back to the land. Not as a community, as a people. And so you have to be strong enough mentally to make that first step, because it wasn't easy, but the groundwork has been laid now. It's not hard for people to come back to Eden. Now, when I say Eden, to come back to any of the missions that we done set up in Africa. We're not just in the land. We all over Africa now. You understand, or what they call, we back in the land. So our people, there is a movement from the lands of our captivity back to Eden now. Back to Eden was a motto at the time when I came back, even the book, Back to Eden. That we got all of our recipes and everything out of. But now it's going back to the concept that we got to get the mindset of back to Eden. That's 101. Come out of her that you can be not partakers of her sins and plagues. We see sins and plagues all around us, but we don't want to leave. It's because we got this other mindset. So the elders that's there now, they just teaching. That's all because they don't never want to leave. Because now, because they didn't deceive so many people from leaving, that they just want to hold the people. They want to build churches. They want to do this. They want to build camps over here. They want to get this, that. You can't save America. We won't be able to save America. America is destroyed. That's why the Most High been calling us out. And believe me, you don't come out because you just came. The Most High is calling you. We all walking singly, face to face with the Most High. He's calling us. We just coming together collectively to find the best way that we can get out. You understand, the easiest way we can get out together. But he's calling each and every one of us, those sons, home. So I just wanted to make that plain about why the sheep are being trained by the same elders that was there that refused to leave with us. They refused to go. All of the elders now is my age, 70 or younger. The elders over there. And it wasn't the time yet. Or if you're going to go over there, the land going to spew you back out. It ain't the time yet. But obviously, it is the time. 50 years, it's the time, So they missed the movement for Judah, which goes back to what you said. It said, let not Jerusalem rise up above, magnify themselves over Judah, because Judah was to be the gathering of the people. But they magnified themselves over us before the sheep as shepherds. And now they got the sheep thinking that they can make it in America. Let's go down south. Let's go move down here. Let's move over here. Let's get us. You got to leave America. Come out of her. We made that first move. So we just asking now that the rest of the sons and daughters, Judah, Jerusalem, that they don't magnify themselves before the sheep and keep the sheep locked down over there until, because they're going to cut the sheep off. We're looking at the shepherds to guide our people out of there. All of the shepherds, the laborers over there. But, you all, the laborers are those that are aware of the process, the redemptive process. Those are the laborers. If you don't know the redemptive process, you shouldn't be standing before our people. If you don't know the redemptive process to redeem this people. The Most High said he would send us redeemers to redeem us. But we sitting up, we getting caught up into people that they ain't even talking about leaving America. It's not even in their mindset. Okay.
Hallelujah. Go to the next. Yeah, right there. There you go. And that's a deep statement you just said right there, Kohen, that a lot of us, we're wasting time talking to people that's not talking about leaving from this land. You're correct. And as you can see right here, again, this picture being shown, You see in the rising of the children of Israel, all the light that you see upon the original man is symbolic to the intelligence by the way of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, by way of the kingdom of Yah, raising or rising, the children of Israel rising from out of the cesspool of the nations. Okay, this is what we're doing right now. Next slide. This is very important for us to understand.
Okay, before we go to the next slide, I want to address a question I saw in the chat that was dealing with the it was an actual university, because somebody was interested in going to the university. So I don't want to get too far.
Oh,
the university, they want to know if it's an actual university.
Kane. Well, right now there are actually 3 universities per se. You have the School of the Prophets Institute in Dimona, Israel, right now, that's being ran by Dr. Kazriel bin Yehuda, Dean of the School of the Prophets Institute in Dimona, Israel. Yes, it is. It's an actual university that you can go to get your doctorates in different schools of thought. So you can actually go there. You can actually go as well. It'll be opened up 2018. Am I correct, Kohen? The Institute of Hebrew Fundamentalism.
We scheduled to open up the priesthood faction of it, and we starting off with the children in our from 1 to 5 with a daycare center institute, because this institution is not so much as doctrinal, but it's to teach our children trade, fundamental trades, how to live, how to deal with the way of life, our cultural way of life, returning to our culture. Adopting the culture of the Jews or anybody else like that. We have to have our own culture. You understand? That's going to be unique all over the earth. As you can see, we got some people in certain they sew this kind of way, they cook this kind of way. We got to bring all that together so we be just one people with one kind of way. Institute of Fundamentalism it's about our cultural research more so, not doctrinal like that. That's the School of the Prophets.
Absolutely. And the Mighty Hebrew University is an online university, whereas though you get classes by the way of Skype, Google Hangout, and even conference lines. As we continue to develop by the way of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism, it will be a university where you can actually sit down and go to. But right now, the way we do it is because I'm teaching people all over the world. We do it by the way of Google Hangouts so far. And it's very, impressive. I didn't, at first, it was more of like, if you want to call it a social experiment per se. But as time went on and it developed, it became something greater. And out of the Mighty Hebrew University, we have a documentary coming out with the help of a brother by the name of Israelite Scribe. Okay, it'll be coming this 2019. Put the PowerPoint back up, brother, so everybody can see. Are you there, good brother?
What's that?
No, I was waiting.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right there.
Okay.
We have here called, this documentary is going to be coming out 2019 called Children of the Most High, Reclaiming Their Identity, The Lost Children of Yisrael. I will be the host. The documentary is going to be put together by me, an Israelite Scribe. He's the one that put the Bozier Crime Family documentary together, which was an excellent documentary. I will be the host of it. We're looking now to places like Sundance Films and other international film companies to help us to manifest this documentary. I'm in contact right now. I haven't talked to them in some time, but I'm in contact with public broadcast services, PBS. What we're trying to do is manifest this on an international level. Whereas we start dealing with the process of the documentary, the beginning stages of when we had our kingdom in Israel, and then the scattering of Israel, into different parts of the earth, but mainly focusing on the East African slave trade and the West African slave trade. Then from there, coming to the Americas and, you know, other parts of the world, but the main focus being the United States and the starting process of Israel Hill and Prophet Cherry, Prophet Crawley, on until we get to today. So this is with the children of the Most High reclaiming their identity. It will be out 2019. I'm working with Israelite Scribe. He's the main one that's going to be organizing and doing a lot of directing pertaining to this documentary. So the idea came out in 2016. Israelite Scribe got in contact with me. He was like, yo, Mighty Hebrew / Prince Landine, look, let's do a documentary. And I'm like, what kind of documentary? So we start building upon it. So it's in the works right now. I'm impressed with his work. So, we will be doing filming, in Mr. Ramon, Telerad, Dimona. We're going to be going to West Africa. We're going to be even going as far as the Far East to Israelites over there doing some filming, the United States and the United Kingdom. So it's going to be powerful, and I will be the host of it. It may be like a 2-day documentary. It might have to be broken down into like a 2-day documentary because it's going to be a lot of footage. So we're going to have to cut it up and make sure everything is good. And we will be having sit-down interviews with some of the founding fathers and mothers that are still alive amongst us today when it comes to this documentary. But this documentary is going to be a state-of-the-art documentary. And on the low, I can't put the person's name out right now, but he's a brother, a producer that had ties with some, films or Black films or African-American films. He's going to be giving us a little bit of help pertaining to the documentary. So it's next slide. So it's very important as we start to manifest this out that we support. Right here, we see a picture of Prince Asiel in Israel. And when I was creating the PowerPoint, I was like, okay, should I cut this piece out that seems like another person could be there? But something told me no. And the reason why, if you look at the picture carefully, there's like a shining aura in the presence of Prince Asiel. And that aura was like, because you can see it like behind him, it's like that eternal idea of bringing forth this kingdom. Like, it was like, the picture, it's like he's present there, but at the same time, he's far seeing the greater reality which is already established. Because you got to remember, 50 years ago, we wasn't talking on levels like this the way we're doing now, and coming to the land, it was just our brothers and sisters. Now we're all over the earth. We all over the earth. So that's why I left that portion there, because it was like, when I seen the picture, I was like, yo, I should cut that part out and just have his face. But as I continued to look at the picture, I was like, no, keep it exactly just like that. So it's very important for us, the children of Israel, to come into this eternal idea to bring forth Yah's kingdom. Next slide. You got anything to say, Kohen?
Yeah, I would like to say that, and as we approach 2008, you understand, at the same time, Obama was put into the president in November. He made president. He was the president-elect November the 4th, 2008. Just the month before that, in 2008, we crossed the 40-year line of being in the wilderness. The wilderness as an event of our coming out of America was finished. So now we were into the season of what they call an interregnum, a time where you're between two governments. You understand? One government was successful to come out of the wilderness. And then we got a 10-year, that 2018 is a 10-year process that we just been in judgment. Other words, purging now the abominations with, from out of the midst of us that we have developed, that was, you know, that people that wouldn't repent or won't repent at this particular time, we being judged. And that judgment culminates this Passover 2018. You understand? In other words, these people then had 10 years to repent. You understand? And what can happen as we grow to the end in this last 3 months, we finding out that now we see clearly who are the ones that's trying to hijack, you understand, and take this away from us even at this hour. You understand? Take away, they're gonna try anyway. You know what, they won't do it, but they're gonna try anyway. You understand? So we're gonna lose a lot of souls just based upon the fact of us being attacked. We are under attack now. We ain't never been up under a great attack on culture than now over here, you know, up in the high place. Because I'm viewing it myself, and that's the main thing is I'm trying to get everybody to come back to our culture. So I'll leave it at that. I'm still on.
Can we still on?
Okay.
Good brother. We got Prince Amiel. He said that they're trying to get on, but they're having a problem getting on. Can you hear me, bro? Could you send a link to Prince Sar Amiel? Is that possible? Because he's saying this link is not letting him come on.
It's not allowed.
Yeah, it's not allowing him to come on. I see that he just. Are you there, good bro?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. I don't. You got to send me his information so I can send it to him.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to type his name inside your inbox. Is that okay?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. So you can see his name. Okay. There. I just sent it to you. So that's who it's supposed to go to, because he's trying to get in now, but he said they're trying to make him sign this and sign that. You know what? You know.
I know the.
Do you have his number then? Can you text it to him? Because it might work better if you text it to him.
I did.
Unless you send it.
I did.
You did do it. Okay.
I did do it that way too.
Because sometimes it'll do that. Hold on.
Okay. Just send it to him, by the way, in your inbox. Okay. So as he's doing
many problems with the link.
Yeah. That's they're here. Sorry, Prince Amiel, sometimes it does that. So as he's doing that, I'm going to continue on.
Okay.
With the PowerPoint. As we can see right here, I want to reiterate before I go to some of Dr. Shaliak's statements. I want to reiterate from what I was saying in part one, where the brother was saying, Prince Asiel ben Yisrael was saying. So he's trying, while he's doing that, to get Prince Sar Amiel on, as well as Prince Asiel, I'm going to read this quotation. And it reads, Prince Asiel ben Yisrael in the Black World, May 1975, pages 64 of 65 reads on this wise. The historians and anthropologists who control the so-called history of this world will go and dig in the ground and find a bone and tell us the bone is 25,000 years old. So when you understand archaeology, okay, we have to understand, oh, there we go. Hallelujah.
Shalom.
Could that be the famous Prince Sar Amiel?
I'm as famous as everybody else on the line.
we thought
Shalom, my son. God.
We thought we were by greater worlds.
No way.
We had to make sure, we had to get the host involved to make sure that he was good. Hallelujah.
I didn't even get a
Hallelujah.
chance to
So,
send it to him. He got on. I didn't even get a chance to send it to him. He just got on.
Oh, he just
I
got
was in
on.
the process of
Hallelujah.
sending it to him.
Hallelujah.
no, you
So,
send it to me.
yeah, no. I sent it to you again. And then, because I sent it to you the
Oh,
first time and it didn't work, then I tried again. And then he was about to do it, but you wound up coming on. But it's all
but you know
good.
what it did? I didn't have Hangouts, so it made me download the app.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Let me get into this fast because we got the senior Prince on here, and we definitely need for him to speak. So I'm gonna speed up the PowerPoint as fast as I can. But again, getting back to Prince Asiel ben Yisrael's statement in the Black World, May 1975, pages 64 to 65, when he was speaking about the historians and the anthropologists who control so-called history of this world will go and dig in the ground and find a bone and tell us that it's like, what, 25,000 years old. And when you're talking archaeology, you're talking about a controlled mechanism. You're not talking about history in that sense, anthropology in that sense, or as we define it at the Mighty Hebrew University, Hebrew anthropogenesis. You're not defining it as that. You're defining it by way of controlling time and space. And when I say you, I'm talking about those that control life right now, the Euro-Gentile powers at large right now. And I want to remind the family that's listening to this, this is not about racism. This is about what is right and what is wrong. Okay? Then he goes on to say, then next, they find a skull and tell us that skull belongs to a Neanderthalian man or a Cro-Magnon man. And then scrape the teeth and tell us that he even had spinach for his last meal. So what the great prince is doing, he's drawing something like to our attention that they're able to give you this elaborate picture, okay, about history going back thousands and thousands, and it's so sophisticated now, even millions of years, okay? And here's the catcher, right? But when our people, okay, but when our people raise the question of our identity, who are we? They say, I don't know who you are. So all this knowledge, I mean, they're so-called flying out in space, colonizing other planets, deep sea diving. I mean, they could tell you everything about the ancient past and this planet and everything else. But when it comes to us, they say, I don't know who you are. Clearly, we see this as a conspiracy to keep us ignorant. Because once we realize that we are a people who have a very powerful connection with the true and living power, they know that we will be about our business. So once we connect ourselves back to the one, then now we're rising the kingdom of Yahweh on earth. Now we're manifesting, making a better world by the way of Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. Now we're bringing forth what was prophesied by a prophetic destiny in the rising of the children of Israel. Next slide. That's what must be understood, as the great Prince Sar Amiel was saying. We have to actualize this by application of knowledge. When he came and did a powerful presentation at the Mighty Hebrew University, he was giving this to the student body there, letting them know about actualization. And this is something that we lost over here, being complacent as Yisrael, as our people was building this kingdom overseas. A lot of us over here, we was being complacent by being fixated in post-Torah doctrine versus dealing with nationalism, and specifically Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. Okay? Next slide says Prince Dr. Shaliach ben Yahuda, may he rest in completeness. The great doctor said, since the nations of the world have been corrupted by Western influence, economically, politically, religiously, culturally, morally, historically, and spiritually, there has to be a radical change, as in re-education of the masses. And he's correct. And this is why we return back into dedicating ourselves. Because in the universities and colleges, we're not being dedicated, we're being trained. So when you have an educational system that trains the Hebrew Israelite mind into an African American mind, we not talking no more about leaving this land. Because the whole thought process of the 60s, by the way of the revolutionaries getting into the civil rights movement and etc., caused us now to be from nationalist to integrationist. Now there's no think tank discussions any longer about leaving this land. There's no major discussions in how we can connect with our brothers and sisters overseas and bridge gaps to start the process and manifest that second wave. Because we already established that Zechariah chapter 12, verse 7 was talking about the founding forefathers and foremothers that left this land in 1967. Okay? And now we're in the 50th Jubilee. Now we're in 2017, starting the process of the beginning of the next Jubilee, the next 50 years. So now we are in the second wave of the Israelites, not just coming from the United States, but all over the four corners of the earth. You're seeing this movement of Israelites reconnecting back to the land. But this is the spirit that was established by our forefathers and foremothers. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Don't think, quote unquote, the mighty Hebrew Prince Landing started Hebrew Israelite sovereign nationalism. That's not, get this twisted. Yes, I may have been somebody that, coined the term, but the idea in the physical presence was there. But now it must be conceptualized on a higher level, to a level now where the younger generation, we now connect. Prince Sar Amiel, he'll be back on. He'd drop in, he'd drop right, he dropped out, he'd drop back in. So now we have to connect the younger generation with these minds, with the elders that's alive right now. Because I ain't lying, I'm trying to get all the information from the Kohen. He ain't leaving this plane of existence until he give all that information up. So we need all the information, and that's how. And matter of fact, they ain't going nowhere no time soon. Shoot, they may not go nowhere. So
true.
It's a thought process. Next
it's a
slide.
Thought process.
Kane, you got anything to say, Kohen?
Oh, you said it all.
Kane. Now, here go Dr. Prince Shaliat. He's back on.
I'm back.
Hallelujah. So here's Dr. Prince Shaliat Ben Yahuda. He says, both the quality and quantity of information consumed must be subject to critical appraisal. And that's true. We have to critically study everything and explore it. He says there must be a media diet, just as effective as dietary guidelines are in governing and protecting our body's health, growth, and safety. The people must be conscious, cautious, quantitatively selective, and thoroughly well informed about the care, keeping, and context of the sensory system. If not, the protection of a higher consciousness is lost. And that's true. And as and what you say about that statement right there, Prince Sar Amiel, what Dr. Shaliak said, you have anything to say about that?
Well, can you hear me?
Kane, we can hear you loud and clear.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, I just want to go back a little because what he's saying is absolutely correct. But one thing I wanted to add is that I would withhold our identity too, uh, if I was the enemy, seeing that a lot of people not trying to do nothing until they figure it all out first. Now, I hope you can hear what I'm saying. The intensive study and all of that, you know, is really for the scholars.
Right. It's irrelevant.
Because most of the people are suggestive anyway. 95% of the people are suggestive anyway. You got to look at it. And I use the analogy that when you go to Las Vegas to see the hypnotist, right? And people go buy the tickets. So if he has 100 people who bought tickets to the show, he know that at least 95% of them there to do what he say. Because most of the people on the planet don't have original ideas. They come in the way of needing to be contextualized to something, to belong to something, to enjoy somebody's creation, to be a part of somebody else's dynamic or whatever. That's 95 to 98% of people on the planet. Right. And so what happens is when he asks for people to come on stage, most of them put their hands up because they want to come up on stage. But the ones that are really exuberant, he calls them because he know when they get on the stage, they're going to do what he tell them to do. So when he tell them to go to sleep, they going to go to sleep. They're going to go to sleep because they won't do what he say anyway.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is that if we wait for everybody to get it, we'll be late. We'll be waiting another 6,000 years. I'm saying that. So the intense study is for the intellects. Now, what has to happen is that the intellects have to create an environment. See, the people are looking for an environment. They're looking for an environment that talks about the spirit of peace, truth, justice, mercy, love, and understanding. But all they had until we left America was America. Because we assumed like there was some great place on the planet or some great places on the planet where everybody was doing all right. But the scriptures say that the whole earth moaneth and groaneth. It says that the devil deceived the whole world, not half of it. He deceived the whole piece. So it's about creating environments that allow people to resonate with higher consciousness. So they don't have to have the highest consciousness, but to be able to create environments that they dream of in their minds, that they hold on to, or that they emote relative to taking care of their children, food, shelter, clothing, all these things. And these kind of people, these are the kind of people that you build with. But you got to look at the powers that be. What the powers that be do, they don't take the people whether they conscious or not. If the people will do what they say, they'll take them. Do you follow what I'm saying? So now we can't wait. We can't wait, and we can't keep telling people that they got to come up to our level. When at our level, we got to be building a world for them to come into, just like the hypnotists created the environment for them to come in and say, hey, I want to be part of this. So the whole concept of the study, because there were a lot of us who studied for years, but the study in showing yourself approved is you get to a point where you actually physically create environments that replicate your state of mind. No, they're not going to be perfect in any sense, especially in the beginning, because in the beginning, it's going to look like the hell you're living in. But what you're doing is by process of turning that intellect into substance. Now you're giving the 95% something to look at. something to view, something to check out. Because everybody ain't born with with intellect like that, and everybody ain't as intelligent as the people who work to be intelligent and intellectual like that. It's not like that. So if the intelligent people don't create the environments, what's going to happen to the other 95? They're going to go wherever the environments that other intelligent people create. Because it ain't like the Catholic Church ain't intelligent. They barbaric. You understand? But they intelligent. And as a result of their programs on the earth, they didn't contextualize billions of people who are basically unconscious. See, we have this thing, we think everybody's born conscious. No, the primary and the primal reality is that people are born unconscious. Consciousness is something you have to acquire. We think that that's primal. No, but it was something that had to be acquired. That you had to acquire. Humans had to push for consciousness based upon keep up with their creativity, because they was creating so much stuff they didn't have the intellect to deal with it all. That's why if you go back in history, you see the fall of all these nations and everything, because they couldn't keep up intellectually, unconsciously with the stuff that they was creating. So you ain't got to be conscious to create an atomic bomb or to create a bridge or to create a car. You can be intelligent. You don't have to be consciousness, because consciousness denotes that you go far and beyond the reality of the physical and in the realm of controlling yourself and controlling environments. So that's the way I wanted to answer the question, because I know we get into a lot of things sometimes where we're saying, we got to study, we got to study, we got to. Well, those who study got to study. Those who had the spirit to study got to study, but they also have to do something else. They also have to take that information and turn it into something tangible. So when Prince Asiel, with Nancy Celiac and Ben-Ami and all of them, whatever the modus operandi, whatever the impetus, so whatever, the major one was to get out. And that's what they inspired us to do. They inspired us to get out. And we found out that when we got out, that when we got into an environment of our own, we were able to create and nobody could stop us. So we found that out basically by accident, because we thought, when we got out, he's going to run into these guys and be in a protracted war. But what we found out in 1972, we had convinced them that we were sovereign, because sovereignty is not something that you fill out some papers for and ask somebody, can you have it, please? Sovereignty is a behavior. And if you have that behavior, then the world got to pay attention to you. And so I'm just saying, yes, study. For those who can study, study. But those who are studying, they have to study in the sense that they have to be creative about what they're studying about. So it has to turn into a physical, tangible reality. Otherwise, it's mysticism. If you're holding wisdom, if you hold knowledge in your mind and you ain't proved that it's practical, it's mystical. And then if it's mystical, it means it ain't even real. So that's how I would answer that.
Absolutely. Hallelujah. Oh man. I knew Prince Amiel, you would do that well. I'm so glad you're on there, and you did it like very, very smooth, like Billy D. Williams.
Well, I had good teachers, man. Prince Asiel, Prince on the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had great teachers, man. They taught us to be not just to be intelligent, but make something happen. Because we ain't making that. If you talk to the prince most of the time, if you say something, you come up with an idea, you say, well, let's do it then. So that's the reality, because we've been cheated. We've been cheated just like the Indians was cheated. That we done gave up land, language, and cultures for some beads. And so we going after the beads and stuff so they can evaluate whatever they like. And we just, we go to the malls and all that kind of stuff and get all them little shiny things. And they take up our time, our energy, and we're not creating, we're not manifesting, we're not making something happen. It's all distraction to keep us from doing the primal things, feeding ourselves, clothing ourselves, housing ourselves, uh, 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 making sure that we're cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
Okay.
We ain't controlling none of that.
Okay.
We ain't controlling none of that. So at the end of the day, I go back to Behold the Pale Horse. I think it's about 38, 39, 40th, 40th page. It says, as a people, and this is how the 1% feels. It said, a people, their intelligence are no better than animals who have no intelligence at all. Therefore, they are stakes on the table by consent.
Wow.
So the way they feel about people, if you're not using your intelligence, then you have consented to be used and abused if necessary. So yeah, we got to be intelligent, but the thing we have to do, we have to turn that intelligence into tangible and real freedom.
Absolutely. You said that's what William Cooper said in Behold the Pale Horse?
That's what he said. Page 40. He was talking about one of those first Bilderberg meetings held in Bilderberg, at the Bilderberg Hotel. That's why they call them the Bilderbergers. It was held at the hotel called Bilderberg. And he was saying that, so he had excerpts. They snuck out excerpts from the meeting, and the beginning of that excerpt, it starts out, and this was the meeting in 1954. This is how it starts out, though. It says, even though the moral issues were discussed, it was decided, and that's how it starts out. It was decided that the people who do not use their intelligence are no better than animals with no intelligence at all. Takes on the table consent. And then it goes on to say that the only thing left after that is to see who is the beneficiary.
Wow.
Because we talking about economics, all that. Economics, white people don't view economics as money. White people view economics as energy. It's the study, the control, and the manipulation of human energy. And that's what they do. They control human energy on the planet. They direct human energy. They contextualize.
Let me ask you something real fast, Prince. That part right there, because now this concept of the prophetic destiny and the rise of the children of Israel, now we having a round table discussion now. I'm glad it's going like this now. We got the elder princes, the younger prince. We got the Kohen. We have a body politic here. When you said about money being energy, which that's absolutely true. Let me ask you that. Are you saying the way they look at money as well as bringing forth an energy, is it a literal energy or is it symbolic? Could you
No, it's not symbolic. It's not symbolic at all, because the whole system is based upon what you call electrical engineering. And those who have electrical engineering degrees, they really have the key to how the system runs. And so the amplification of energy, because it's the best way I can put it so you can understand it.
Okay.
The amplification of manipulation of energy, that deals with once you have energy in the system, you can amplify it, you can increase the volume, decrease the volume, you can manipulate the energy, you can do whatever you want with it. But let me show you in an example.
Okay.
It's like a lot of people drive, right?
Okay.
And they drive cars, buses, and all that, but especially the ones who drive cars. So there's one thing that all drivers have in common. and that is the sign that tells you how much gas is costing every day. Now, the people who live in terms of dimes, nickels, and pennies, they are on a treadmill. And because what happens is when they get up in the morning and they go to drive their car, if that thing goes up some pennies, it creates anxiety. And y'all wondering why some of these people got road rage? They got road rage because the system is driving them crazy. Because what it does, it manipulates your energy by manipulating the things that they have caused you to use or believe in. Mm-hmm. So you driving and it goes up a few pennies or whatever. Now, if you a person who thinks in terms of dimes, nickels, and pennies, that causes you a problem because now you got to figure out where you're gonna get them pennies from. Are y'all following what I'm saying? That's the concept. That's the concept of economics, and so you can apply it to whatever you want to apply it with. I'll give you one more example. One of the cities I used to live in, if they're gonna cut off your electricity, what they would do, they send you a pink envelope. So you coming home, good day, you know what I'm saying? Then you walk up to your mailbox and you got a pink letter in your mailbox. Now y'all tell me whether it's yellow or whatever it is in different cities, y'all ain't feeling good once y'all see that pink letter.
Not at all.
Because it say your pen's getting ready to be cut off. But what happened, what they have done is they have manipulated your environment and turned it hostile. Mm-hmm. So this goes on zillion times a day. They manipulating commodities and all kinds of material manifestations and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, they throw these prices on you when the price goes down. And to show you how powerful it is, when they have these places when they have these sales, like the one that's coming up, like Black Friday, when wherever black people are and they go into the stores, they usually ready to fight.
Yep.
Ready to fight. That environment is created, and you know they want it because they know the people gonna fight, but they do it every year. so now,
right. People get killed in some of them places.
But that is the manipulation and the control, the amplification of energy. So what energy they talking about? See, money is just something else. Money is their manifestation of valuation. So they can turn it. They used to sell pet rocks and all that kind of stuff. And people's actually buying that stuff. You know, buying a rock and talking to the rock. They used to sell mood rings and all that, based upon the fact that they can manipulate the person because they can evaluate anything, and that 95 to 98% are gonna fall for it. That's the manipulation of energy. So money is way down the line. That's not the root of economics. The root of economics is to control the energy of humanity and make it do what they wanted to do. Like right now, and so I go back to the beginning of the conversation, and I'm saying, if I was the enemy, I wouldn't tell you who you are either. Because if you waiting to know exactly who you are, why would I tell you? You ain't gonna do nothing till you figure out who you are. That's like when you go back to Darwinism, Big Bang Theory, the intelligent design, man coming from monkeys. All of those are still theories. Now, these people had 700 years to prove all this stuff. And that shows you how stupid we are. We keep waiting for them to come up with the answer. So we running around like dogs chasing our tails, dealing with something that's irrelevant. Why do I need to know what happened 2 million years ago? I don't need to know that. I need all my energy needs to be spent being tangible and doing real things in real time.
Okay. And it's
So
funny that you're saying that, not because I'm giving right back to you. It's funny that
no,
you say that, and you look on social media, and even if you deal, outside of social media, and you look what's going on in Israel right now, they're making us, or we're focusing on, better yet, we're focusing on, like you said, things 2 million years ago, this, that, the third. And we're not dealing with the issue at hand, what needs to be done at hand. And I noticed one of the things that was established in the kingdom of Yah, when we speaking of economics, of having all things in common. Is there a way that you can give us an understanding of that process of all things in common versus what we're seeing right now, and
okay.
how the Gentiles are using money as an energy system to control?
Yeah, because first of all, they taught you to be selfish. In the Schofield Reference Bible, it says in the footnotes to the 13th chapter and the 8th verse, it goes on to say how the devil contextualized his world of unbelieving mankind upon 5 principles:
Right.
force, selfishness, greed, ambition, and pleasure.
That's right.
Force, selfishness, greed, ambition, and pleasure. Now, everybody trying to force somebody to do something, in these relationships, on your job. Selfishness. You some of y'all want to live in a house with 10 rooms and 88 bathrooms, and just you and your parakeet,
Yep.
or you and your dog or something. You know what I'm saying? People want to drive cars, they have 3 or 4 cars, and you can only drive one car at a time, but you don't want nobody else in the car. And I'm saying, if we don't use the system of all things common, we're not going to win. Because what all things in common does, it makes you reverse the process of those 5 cosmic principles.
That's right.
So all things in common makes you share, makes you have to share with somebody. Now you go back to the old neighborhoods when we wasn't so tainted, you used to go and get sugar from next door or down the street. Or if your child was acting crazy, he can get a whooping down the street and then get one when he gets to the house. Because he was acting up. It said that integration and all of that stuff. This is what Martin Luther King was saying. He told Harry Belafonte, he said, "What have we integrated our people into a burning building?" Because he couldn't believe it anymore. He couldn't believe what he was putting out there anymore because it wasn't working. Civil rights wasn't working. None of that stuff was working. And at some point, he had to attest to the fact that it was going the wrong way. And what I'm saying is that at near the end of his life, he was even saying that he couldn't say violence wasn't important. I'm saying that's a heck of a turn, even though he was a revolutionary more than he was, a Christian like that. Most people didn't know, but so they use that energy to, like they use everybody's energy to do whatever they want to do. But so the whole point is that those 5 principles: force, selfishness, greed, ambition, and pleasure, those things keep us from loving each other, caring for each other, looking out for each other, because we have absorbed the cosmic principles of the satanic system. When Michael Douglas did that movie called Wall Street, and he went to the board meeting and he gave that speech and he said, "Greed is good." And so the world went into greed, and they was already in it at 70 miles an hour. Now they jumped it up to 150 miles an hour, and then it taught everybody else to be greedy. I mean, why would you need $10 million in an account or $1 billion in an account unless greed, you understand, was a force within itself? And so now you got all our people trying to replicate that. You know what I'm saying? The basketball player, the football player, all of these people replicating that thing, just hoarding money, pimping themselves some money, But the problem is, if they turn the electricity off, ain't nobody got no money. And so they're trying to get everybody. See, when the internet was made, it was made for a specific reason. It was made to be able to manipulate people. What they call a totally manipulable economy. That means to control human energy totally. So now you got everybody talking about they doing all their business on the net. Man, that's suicide. But everybody following everybody, don't nobody remember nobody's telephone numbers these days. So if you lose your phone, you know what I'm saying, you might not even be able to call your mama because you don't know the phone number. Memorize anything. So I'm saying that we've been contextualized by those 5 principles. So what our leadership did was push us into the reality of all things in common. So when I came to the nation, the prince and all of them, we had a carpool. We had shopping days. We had co-ops and all these kinds of things, and we took care of ourselves. Even some of us who had missions, we used to buy all our products from Israel, bring them to wherever our missions were, and just give it to our people, because we were working in all things in common. So, all the resources and everything was put in the pool, and the object is that the prince talks about all the time. He said, we don't have what they call a money problem more, because they keep talking about billions and billions of dollars. No, the problem we have is we don't trust each other, so we ain't gonna put the money we got in the pot. So all them people talking about we got money, more than some other countries. We ain't got nothing. Individuals got money.
Dang.
You understand?
Talk about it, Prince.
But Europeans got banking systems. So they put their money and your money in there and make it work for them. But you can't wait to get in your house with your one dog and the baby, with 10 rooms and 5 bathrooms and all that, and a couple of cars and a motorcycle and big screen TV, and say that's your world. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I'm from Bermuda originally, and what happened was there was a hurricane in Bermuda. Everybody got cell phones, everybody got whatever, and so everybody going about their business. Then the hurricane came, and electricity was off for like 2 weeks or something. Man, people came out them houses, got to talking to each other, wanted to borrow this, borrow that. Yes.
Right.
But when the electricity came back on, they went back to where they was before the hurricane. So they didn't see the wisdom that the hurricane brought.
They went back in the box.
If I come and I blow your house down, it's going to make y'all have to depend on each other.
Right.
You understand? So I don't want to keep going on. I just want to answer your question. And the reality is we've been contextualized to some dumb stuff. And we follow that dumb stuff because Europeans evaluate everything, and we believe in their value system. So all things in common is the only way, is the only saving grace for us to learn to share, to care for one another. I mean, heart to heart. You know what I mean? Like it might be in a distant memory, but go back to that memory when everybody was in your neighborhood was like family or whatever, because that's the closest to when we were closer to Yah. Because you can't be close to Yah and separate from your people. And when I say separate from your people, I'm talking about those who are resonating, who have dreams and visions of life, love, liberty, and happiness and joy and all of that. that vibrational reality is out there. And so we have to recognize it and begin to let it, we attract it, let it be attracted to us and all of that, so we can cut out all this dumb stuff and get to building. The beauty of what we did over the last 50 years, we didn't go there to just build a community for ourselves. I mean, we wasn't stupid. I mean, going and creating a small environment, you know what I'm saying that's going to be heaven for us and hell with the rest of the world. That really make no sense. That meant we were stupid when we went there. No, we went there to sow the seeds for a new world, but it's a process by which you derive it. That the first thing we had to do, we had to be closed so we can keep enough stuff out so we can grow stronger from a spiritual perspective and begin and continue the process of relying on each other and sharing on with each other until we could open the doors. And enemies kept banging on them doors from the outside. And then we found out there's a lot of enemies tearing the door down on the inside. But there's a process. And everybody don't understand the process. That's what I'm saying. Everybody ain't conscious. But it's incumbent upon those who are conscious and everything to deal in the real world with real information, with things that people can apply and they can see it working. And so our first 50 years was the physical delivery of the children of Israel. The second 50 years is the spiritual delivery of Israel. And it might not be some people you see on the other 50 years. Because it's the whole earth and the fullness thereof. So people are resonating from all over the world. Why? Because there is an archetype that we sacrificed for, we fought for, we manifested in, and we're growing from. And so now the discourse about Hebrewisms, about freedom, sovereignty, and all that stuff, that business is in the air because there's a tangible construct. If there was no tangible construct, the people wouldn't have anything to look at.
Absolutely.
And it would still be abstract or mystical. But our fathers and mothers, they took the mysticalness out of it, man. We literally had to go and rumble and get some land, language and culture, establish a government, establish a leadership, you understand, and have relationship with other nations who say we were who we are. And we did that sufficiently enough where the word calls us by our name, the African Hebrew Israelite nation of Jerusalem, under the auspices of the kingdom of Yah. And now we're in the second phase of the 50 years to repair. You know, I mean, after 50 years is about rebooting. You know, looking at what happened. Yes, and look at what happened and do an assessment of the house. Now, when you do an assessment of the house after a flood or a hurricane, it don't look too good. So the thing is, that ain't what you focus on. You focus on the goodness that made it through the hurricanes and the storms.
And think to repair.
Because that's the victory.
Okay, and not to cut you off, I just want to read two quotations and then you can continue on. Again, giving all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, eternal, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. We have a powerful presentation here tonight for all the listening audience, the prophetic destiny and the rising of the children of Israel. Y'all just finished hearing Prince Sar Amiel being Yisrael speak. I'm going to give it right back to him, as we also have HaKohen Eliezer on from Israel, straight from the land of Israel. This is a powerful presentation. I want to read Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2 to 3. And then from there, I'm going to read this quotation from U.S. sociologist Robert Merton. And I want you to continue on where you left off, Prince Shah Amiel. So it reads on this wise: and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up into the mountain of Yahweh, into the house of Elohim, of the Elohim of Yaakov, and he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth Torah in the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And we also have U.S. sociologist Robert Merton in National Urban League, State of the Race, 1991. He stated, in the world of the sociologists, as in the more scheduled laboratories of the psychologists and the chemists, it is the successful experiment which is decisive, and not the 1,001 failures which preceded it. More is learned from the single successes than from multiple failures. A single success proves it can be done. Therefore, it is necessary only to learn what made it work. So reading that from there, reading Isaiah chapter 2, verse 2 to 3, along with that U.S. sociologist Robert Merton, his statement basically saying what has been established or what will be established, and if it's established at one time, we know it can work. The idea is what made it work. And this is what the great Prince right now is talking about, what makes it work. So could you give the family a bird's eye view, Prince R, what you got from out of that sociologist, as well as Isaiah chapter 2, verse 3, and then after you let the Kohen come in and give his input. Hallelujah.
Okay, I'm going to be brief. In Isaiah chapter 2, this was one of the motivating factors of us continuing to work no matter what happened. Because we knew that prophetically, what we held in our minds, if we worked on it, we was going to get it anyway. If we stuck to the mission, it was going to work anyway. Now, the thing about the guy Merton is the most important thing that he said, and I'm paraphrasing, that when the people look at it, they need to look at the victorious aspect of it. They have to look at the things that worked. Because first of all, prior to 50 years ago, we wasn't in Israel as a people. And the reality is just like a football game. You had linebackers and all that kind of stuff at the gate trying to keep us from getting in. CIA, FBI, Interpol. I mean, everybody was arrayed trying to keep us from getting into that land. But going back to the second chapter, we understood that that was an absolutely worked on it. And that's what we did. We absolutely worked on it. We put the spit in dirt. We didn't deal with the mysticism and all that kind of stuff, man. I mean, doesn't mean there wasn't a bunch of mysticism in there, because certainly hindsight has 20/20 vision. But the main thing that comes out of the psychologists, philosophers' reality is that once you see it, you got to look at it. If you didn't do it, don't let the fact that you didn't do it keep you from viewing what was done. Because if you're sitting back, you're going to try to replicate something that we did by trial and error, you're going to go through more stuff than what we went through. The reason why we did it is so that people like yourself and other intelligent spiritual brothers and sisters on the planet would have something to work from, would have a template, would have some algorithms, and all of those constructive things that are necessary to bring an idea substance, because that's what our
What happened?
Huh?
Oh, I was just wondering what happened. You was finished?
No, I was still talking.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where.
I thought my computer cut off.
No, we all here. We can hear you, Prince.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, did you hear everything I said, or I got cut off?
It was like the last part. That's the part he couldn't hear you because I couldn't hear you.
Oh, okay. So, just going black just a little. What I'm really saying, so because I want to hear the Kohen. The reality of it is that the intelligent people, the intelligent spiritual people like yourself, is the reason why we built it. So that at some point you can look at it and help us take it to the next level. Then it'd be a we instead of just a us. Because in the beginning, it was just a us. Nobody believed we should go to Israel. They said we didn't belong there and it wasn't time and all that kind of stuff, man. We was hated, reviled. I mean, all kind of stuff for the first 50 years. Man, if we had to wait on our people to determine whether we should go to Israel or not, we'd have never left. But it was a handful of intelligent, spiritual men and women who said that it was time to go, and there was enough of us to take that concept and move out. So what wound up happening, see, what we are actually doing at this point, which is the first phase of conceptualizing what we've done, is to help you understand the process by which we derived at where we are 50 years later. Now, some people may look at it and say, well, 50 years later, y'all this, y'all that. No, 50 years later, we strong. We went through wars and all that kind of stuff like any other nation. But because we don't understand process, first of all, our people figure, like when the scriptures say that, like in Genesis, it says, and on the sixth day, God did this, and on the seventh day, they actually think that that's a day. Like, when they get up in the morning, when the sun come up, that's the next day. Because our people feel like they ain't got to go through nothing. But there's nothing on the process when you are pursuing an idea. Just like a seed, when you put it it might be an apple seed, but you ain't going to eat no apples for a long time. And then you're going to have to work hard to keep that seed growing. Keeping it fed, protecting it, all of that kind of stuff before you taste an apple. Now, and for most people, if they felt, if they have an inclination that it's like that, they're not going to do it anyway because they don't want to do nothing that's going to take some time. Well, it took some time. And in reality, our first 50 years was experiential because we walked on the road never traveled. This had never been done before. So how could we know exactly how it was going to go? Man, we had to make a lot of stuff up as we were going. And we had to stick with it because some things worked, some things didn't work. But the thing that gave it substance was that before we left going into Israel, we had contextualized people to share with each other, to care for each other, to look out for each other, and keep your word and trust each other. We actually taught that in the missions. Mm-hmm. And then we gave practical things for people to do to help them foster those things because now they had to work together with people. So before we went in, we just didn't bumble into Israel. That 2.5 years in Liberia was to get rid of enough madness that we'd have some semblance of care and concern and love for one another, because we knew we were going to be in a protracted war for some years and we were going to have to rely on each other. And not only did we rely on each other, we built something so beautiful that people came from all over the world. I'm talking about all kinds of nationalities and cultures came from all over the world just to see it. Mm-hmm. So what we're saying is now we have the experience. So now it seems like all the intelligent spiritual people should be coming saying, well, how did y'all do that? Because it's time for us to do it. No, we couldn't do it when y'all did it because we thought y'all was crazy. Okay, now y'all know we're not crazy. Where you at? Because we can't wait any longer. We can't wait for everybody to be extremely intelligent. We can't wait for everybody to study. The die has been cast. Chapter 2 of Isaiah has been set in motion by a people who stuck to the plan no matter what, rain, sleet, hail, snow, jail, death, whatever. We were inspired and motivated by our leadership to stick to the plan. And that's the key. Going into this next 50 years, there's a concept called procession. And procession means that everybody don't bum rush the door. We find out who it has the most understanding, who has the most wisdom and knowledge as to how to get through that door, and we line up behind them and get in the door orderly. Mm-hmm. And so that's the next phase. That's the next spiritual phase. So we're going to elucidate some more on these things, but I'm going to turn it over to you, Mighty Hebrew, so we can hear the Kohen.
Okay, absolutely. I want to read something real fast and pass this one to Kohen. I'm reading from a book known as The Heritage Seekers, Black Jews in Search of Identity by Israel J. Gibar. And this book was written in the 70s. Excuse me. It was written in the 70s. And there was a quotation in here that I would like to read. Actually, 2 small quotations, and then you can build on it. This chapter is the Black Hebrew identification. And he says on page 196 to 197, he says, in the brief span of time that the Black Hebrews have been in Israel, they have taken a leap across centuries of social evolution. Then down the bottom he says, gradually, the Black Hebrews have learned to adjust to external pressures. They have begun to focus their attention on themselves, to find their weaknesses and their strengths. They have begun to recognize that there is strength in community. They have instituted their first form of self-governance, the Council of 12 Princes, and invested it with authority. They have made the partial sacrifices of individual freedom to achieve stability, and they have taken the awesome responsibility of enforcing conformity with the threat of expulsion from the group, as he would say. Okay, and they have enforced it. So this man right here is seeing the move that we made, returning back to the land of Yisrael and establishing our government that we have taken a leap across centuries of social evolution. Now, from your observation, Kohen, how do you feel about the statement that Israel Gabar, what's his name? Israel J. Gabar made? He holds a PhD in psychology, and he got here from out of the Boston University, and he is said to be an ordained rabbi. Ordained rabbi. How do you feel about from coming from out of Chicago, Detroit area, and other parts of the United States, back in 1967, leaving the land of the Great Captivity or the lands of the Great Captivity to now? That statement of leaping across social evolution, how do you feel about that? And where do you see the future and destiny of the children of Israel with this coming next 50th Jubilee on the spiritual level? Hallelujah.
I look at it from the way that from the standpoint of the resurrection concept. You understand? There are 3 stages of the resurrection. You can't go into the second stage of the resurrection, which is Kima in Ivrik, in the language of Ivrik. You can't go to the second stage until first you finish the first stage. And see, the first stage, you in a Babylon, that's the Babylonian heritage. That's the first stage of your awakening. You're awakening up. And at the end of that awakening, then you leave America. Now you can go to the second stage of your awakening process, which is Kima. The first stage is Hakasa. Learning, finding out your identity, finding out who you are. You understand? You can't come over here in Israel and think you're going to be a leader. You're going to come over here and be a sheep. You got to come over here and shut up, sit down, and listen. Find out the way that we learned to live for 50 years. You can't come over here. You got to learn our ways. And if you want to go back, you teach our ways. But a lot of people are coming in with preconceived ideas on how to do this. And they want to jump into the mix with us. But at the same time, they find themselves fighting, and they find themselves because they haven't completed the first stage of the resurrection and coming out of Babylon. We all came out with overtones. A plane ride don't change you. A 12, 13-hour plane ride from America don't change you. You come over here with all of those American Babylonian overtones. And so you have to shut up, sit down, and be detoxed. Mm-hmm. And right now, it's a lot of people that's coming out. They're they're intelligent brothers and sisters. You just can't, you understand? But our intellect, we locked into Nasi Shalik's historical perspective of how we are. That's everybody is on one accord about that. And we're going to deal with that as a foundational teaching for history as long as I'm here. As long as we are here. Even after this, because that's the order that we established. We're going to all walk this way. Now, somebody else might come. We might add to that, tweak it a little bit, repair it as it go on, but we ain't going to give it up. We ain't going to throw away the foundation. We ain't going to throw away the foundation. That's solid. So our way is solid now. It's a foundation has been established. Now, all we got to do is build up on it, and you understand the foundation established. So that's going back to let us go up and learn the way of the house of Jacob. Let them teach us. It's not let us go up there and instruct them on what to do. That's the problem that we having with a lot of people that don't really come in and they don't gravitate. They don't work in the midst of the community. They end up leaving and going back because they say they can't fit themselves according to their mindset and to our mindset. That is one mindset. We are a community, a Yakai community, which means we are a community of oneness. Complete oneness. And anybody that's off, we coming to help you because we know you're sick. That's a sick individual over there. He didn't forget about our oneness, and we deal with that collectively. But in America, you ain't got to that stage yet where you can deal with somebody's mindset. You understand? You haven't come up to that spirituality. You haven't waken up to that point. The main thing that you have to wake up in America at the first stage is to come out of her. As long as you depend on her, then she has you trapped and leaning on her, like Nasik was saying earlier in his presentation. You leaning on her for all your provisions. She shut down the system tomorrow, you're going to perish. All she have to do is close the banks. The banks can crash. You can't even imagine. You can't go to the bank to get your money. Mm-hmm. And if the banks go bankrupt, it don't matter whether you're rich or poor. You're getting ready to go into, so it's going to be chaos everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's going to be like rats. You understand? That's the situation that is mounting up. The Most High is making it happen. So you'll flee. You'll flee out of there now while you can. I don't know how you're going to get out if them doors shut down, them gates shut down. I don't know how you're going to get out. Mm-hmm. A whole new blueprint on how to get you. Right now, we got a blueprint to get you out. That consider themselves a refugee out of America when I left.
Okay.
Go whenever y'all gonna see me. I'm ready to go now. What do I have to do?
Okay.
I don't need to sit down in the class and be taught. Nothing. I want to go.
Okay.
Now we got a lot of people. I had 3 or 4 people in the last couple of days say, listen, I just want to go. What do I need to do? Who do I need to see? I'm ready to go now.
Okay.
That's the mindset that I feel that you're gonna leave. You're gonna keep that mindset. Focus on that mindset.
Okay.
Start somewhere.
Okay.
And you have to be a sheep. Come as a sheep, as a lamb.
Okay.
Those teachers that have already laid the path for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Back from he's the one. He's the greatest ambassador that got so many people from America out of America, and he's still there. And he's guiding us, and everybody, the elders, we're guiding this next chapter of those that want to come out. If you want to come out, some people really in their heart don't want to come out.
That's right.
They're contented. They got houses. They got family. You understand? Those ways, I had to give up mother, father, sister, brother, everything. House, home, jobs, careers. Nobody contact me out of my family for years. Better, man. Over here with a new family. Now, since my family, hey, they didn't did it. I'm good with all of my family. Everybody thought I was wrong. Not just about Hebrew Israelite, they just thought I was wrong. You going over there you gonna go in slavery or something. You understand? Well,
absolutely.
That's all I got to say about that. I don't want to get along with it.
Absolutely. No, it's all. That's what we need. We need, the elders to bring this forth, because y'all are the guiding light. There's another quotation I would like to read. Well, I'm gonna read one quotation and let y'all build on it, and then another quotation, and then we're gonna close out, and we're gonna have a part 3 because we gotta get the great Prince. So, here's something for y'all out of the book, An Imitation of Life, Redefining What Constitutes True Life and Living in a New World by Ben Ami, the late Ben Ami, on page 74, Salvation or Social Reform. I would like to read this to y'all and get a response from y'all. It reads on this wise. There are major differences between prophetic redeemers and social reformers. A social reformer never has to dutifully consider the Yah aspect. A redeemer has to always unequivocally consider the Yah aspect. A redeemer's objective is to plant Yah permanently in the consciousness and demonstrating in the lifestyle of a people and operation of their government. Social reformers appeal to the government, trying to improve a social, economic, political condition, while a redeemer is trying to improve a relationship with y'all. The Western world's policy is to enhance the position of the social reformer and prevent the rise of a Messiah. March 4th, 1968, J. Edgar Hoover outlining the purpose of COINTELPRO, or counterintelligence program, who would make concrete and perceptible the difference between the holy and the profane, those that worship Yah and those that worship him not. Prince R. Amiel, how do you, or Kohen, how do you view that? It was just read from out of Salvation and Social Reform.
Well, the thing is that this is all of the stuff that we came through. All the psychological and sociological programs. First of all, the programming from Head Start at 3 years old, trying to contextualize us out of a relationship with the Creator and into a relationship with the devil. And that's why we're having problems now. All the Head Start, became football players and preachers and all of that kind of stuff, because the reason why it was called Head Start is because at one point we used to go to school at 5 years old, and then the devil said, no, 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 we got to get them a little earlier than that. Because if we get them a little earlier than that, we can ensure that they'll be what we want them to be. And that's the reality of today. You got people with all of this exorbitant income and don't spend none of it on freedom, because those same sociologists and psychologists have convinced them that the way to salvation and the way to success is through the philosophers and the religious and the financial wizards of hell. And so that was their job. Their job was to, through the educational process, to contextualize a people to what you call a cognitive dissonance. And ever since his brother made this movie called Get Out, which is a textbook conceptualization of not just Black America, but the whole of humanity is in the sunken place, because they have been triggers that they have been using. And one of those triggers are those educators and philosophers and all of that, whose job is not to come to the knowledge of the truth, but to win the arguments and push you to win arguments that have nothing to do with the truth, nothing to do with gathering the truth or harnessing the truth. It's all about winning the argument. It's one of the greatest elements of Greek education, the whole debate thing that you debate. And that's why you're having problems in your families now, because you're not contextualized by the truth. Everybody's trying to win the argument. Somebody got to be smarter than somebody else. So you're not trying to reconcile. You're just trying to show that you're superior in some shape, form, or fashion. But this is the reality of the social system that's got everybody in that sunken place. Can't think or work themselves out of a wet paper bag. How are they going to get out of this insidious, meticulous construct? J. Edgar Hoover, I mean, he had the whole intelligentsia on his side. When you go back to how a lot of these nonprofits like Mellon and these think tanks and all of them were designed to control public opinion, not just in politics, but in everything. So it's over 3,000 and some think tanks and other organizations that support them in maintaining the status quo. And so when you look at that particular movie, you really got to look at that movie, because you see the Eurocentric mindset at work. It's elucidated. It's right there in front of you. You can't even miss it, because you can see yourself right in there. When they was talking about the guy that had disappeared, they said the first thing the guy said, "Well, why are you dressing like that?" Because they had hypnotized him to be somebody else. And what had happened? The whole world been hypnotized to be somebody else. So you ain't even yourself. Now, how, if you ain't yourself, how you gonna have a good, great relationship with somebody who ain't their self? And you're wondering why marriages don't work, relationships don't work, because people who don't know themselves is having relationships with people who don't know themselves. And so J. Edgar Hoover and all that, they didn't had a field day, because in 400 years, they saying, man, these guys are dumb, because we ain't even that smart. And it seemed like 400 years, they should have figured something out. But the program has been so insidious, and we didn't swallowed everything that they didn't put out. I mean, how you gonna contextualize yourself by somebody like Plato? I mean, you go to school with psychology and sociology, and then they stick this crazy ass Plato on you. I mean, and then you wonder why your life is all tore up, because that was their job, to make sure you have a psychology and that's tore up, so it replicates itself in your sociology.
That's right.
Man, look, the Catholic Church in 300 BC, they say they decided to take on the concept of sex. Now, this was a premeditated reality. They said they were going to take sex and use sex as a weapon. And up to this very day, they have been extremely successful in taking the most primal reality of procreation and intimacy and turning it into a sin.
Yep.
Now, everybody's under sin. Because if you had sex and you don't go to church, they make you feel like you've been sinning. So now when you have procreation and all of this type of stuff, you doing it with some trepidation. Because if you contextualize by Christianity and all of those things, they done said sex is a sin. So you at war with yourself. So you wonder where all these aberrations and diabolical sexual practices and all that stuff come from. It come from the fact that once they made sex sin, where are you gonna go from there? So if you think about sex, so you get ready to go into it, you go into it with reckless abandon because if I'm gonna be condemned anyway, man, just let me do some crazy stuff. And they got the whole world like that. But the single most thing that comes out of making sex sin is guilt. Now, guilt is a destabilizing reality because as long as they can keep you guilty, you always be hiding from something. And you look, especially in the Black community, you got guys running all over the cities and every day running from baby mamas and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? There's nowhere to rest their head or whatever because they're considered sinners. And according to the laws that the Catholic Church has been mandating for thousands and thousands of years. Y'all think, not y'all, but I'm saying that people think Catholic Church is just a church. Catholic Church is a sovereign, and that sovereign rules the Eurocentric world. That's why when you see the Pope moving around, all the dignitaries kiss his ring. They don't kiss it because they like fingers. They kissing that ring to show that he is the all-powerful vicar of Christ. And the laws and ordinances that come out of this church are sustaining itself today and are the major destabilizing realities of the whole human race.
Right.
So you say that the Catholic Church has about 1 billion people, and then they say the Greek Orthodox Church has this many people. Man, the Catholic Church got all the people who's in religions.
That's right.
They got all because that's the daddy.
Right.
So now we all suffering from this guilt thing. So guilt can always be used against you. And I'm telling you, they don't care nothing about people because if you look at the scandals in the political world, all these guys been raping women and groping them and having sex with underage girls, you know, and doing all kind of stuff. And so the whole sentiment now is we want to change the political climate, so let's play the sex card. Well, they did that on purpose because it's the Catholic Church pulling them strings. Because none of them people are supposed to be stronger than God. And God is showing them, look, I got y'all. I got y'all on this sex thing. Y'all can't never get around me. You're going to be guilty. You're going to be sitting somewhere. You ain't going to be able to say nothing. You ain't going to be able to be effective. Right? Now, ain't that how men are in the home?
Yep. So they are.
So the whole human race is suffering from this reality of guilt. And so I'm saying that going into this this next reality, we got to go without Plato and all them crazy white boys.
I totally agree with you, Sir, in respect to what you were saying about, see, we always, when we look at ourselves coming out of the captivity it always states us as the outcast of
Right.
Israel. So we really wasn't accepted in anywhere where we at right now. So we are part of that. We are part of that society, but we outcast that.
Right. Right.
Okay.
That's right.
Once we realize that we outcast wherever we at, even when here in Israel, I'm an outcast. I'm not
Right.
integrated into this society.
Right.
So I'm an outcast here. So once you find out that you're not integrated, you got to move into your own, creating your own place, your own social environment, like you were saying earlier, Nashi. And this is what I'm saying. It's either integrate into that world or integrate into our world. It's no other way to make a decision. There ain't no in between.
That's right. And see,
You got to integrate into our world. And now it's talking about integrate or separate.
right.
This is the whole concept of this season. Integrate into the American society where you at, or either separate and go where you think you should go, according to your understanding and desires of a land, language, and culture that we say that we want.
Mm-hmm.
We can't create a land, language, and a culture in America.
Mm-mm.
It don't work.
Can't do it.
It don't
Can't
work.
do it. Can't do it. And even in the concept of saying that, we have so many psychological and sociological pitfalls. If you ain't trying to really go out your neighborhood, most people trying to dig in and make their houses a fortress or something, as if, as if they are protecting themselves against something when the biggest problem they got is the way they think.
The people that they got in their houses.
Right. That's what I'm
That
saying.
sex thing on it. You know, that sexual beast.
Right. Right. And so they cowering in these homes and everything, man, thinking that if they put their head in the sand, that it'll go away. And this is what we try to tell everybody. A lot of our people, especially from the Israelite persuasion, and I'm not talking about necessarily inside the African Hebrew Israelite nation of Jerusalem, but a lot of them think that at some point there ain't gonna be no white people on the planet. But that ain't true. The white people ain't going nowhere. Well, that means if you are not creating your own world, they are not gonna disappear. The object is to create your own and make it grow, where it influences every environment on the planet, just like the Catholic Church did when they took over Rome.
That's right.
It didn't happen overnight. Shoot, it was a process by which they killed and destroyed Rome. It was a process, and it was a meticulous process. So going back to that second chapter in Isaiah, when we went into Israel, we didn't go into Israel to assimilate. We didn't do that. But we ain't mad at nobody who did, because we can't control nobody. People got to do what they got to do. Those of us who are revolutionaries and visionaries, we knew that there was going to be a fall off at some point and people couldn't take it anymore or whatever, because I'm telling you, this thing was not easy by any stretch of the imagination. None. Everything that could happen to us or people would do to us was done. From murdering us, poisoning us, extricating, deporting us, jailing us, doing whatever.
All of that went
I'm
down.
saying, what you say?
Everything happened just like you saying. I'm just agreeing.
Everything. That's why I'm saying we paid a price.
Old folks, children, they went to jail. Everybody went to jail.
Everybody went to jail. And that's what y'all didn't understand. And the thing Cohen was saying was our greatest reality was that we weren't accepted by them. That was that was power. I mean, they helped us by not accepting us, because we didn't go looking for their acceptance anyway.
Right.
So we was prepared to do whatever without any acceptance at all. The fact that when we went there, we found that all white people wasn't racist and everybody wasn't trying to kill us. You know what I'm saying? But then later on, we found out the people that was inside with us looking like us was trying to kill us. I'm telling you, everything that could happen happened. You know, in Schofield reference, he says in the 13th chapter of 13 and 24 in Matthew, in the footnotes, he says that the wheat of God at once becomes the scene of Satan's activity. The world is so meticulous, and our people don't understand the meticulous nature of this devil. It is so meticulous. He was studying you 3 generations before you came.
Right.
So he had an idea. He studied all of the biorhythms and the growth curves of everything.
Yeah.
So he would have the power of predictability. So he would be able to know when we would do something, when we wouldn't do something, how we would respond to this stimuli, how would we respond to this impulse, and all those kinds of things, you know. And even the reality of us getting to Israel was part of the whole COINTELPRO thing, because they had a 2-pronged situation. Some people they killed, other people they used psychological programs, which is what you were talking about, Mighty Hebrew, when you brought up this the philosophers and all of these guys. You know what I'm saying? Because their job was to hoodwink and bamboozle us, to weaken us to the extent that we could not fight. I go back to George Clinton. Y'all know George Clinton, Parliament Funkadelic. He did an album one year. It was called America Eats Us Young. And one of the songs had a refrain on it and said it, pimping their instincts until their ability to think was amputated.
Wow.
So I'm saying we done had so much help. First thing we want to tell y'all, it ain't your fault. It only becomes your fault when you get the knowledge of the truth and you don't do nothing about it. But those of us who study and have learned, you understand, we ain't coming what they call looking down on y'all or denigrating you or whatever. Man, you are us. You understand? The fact that we had the energy and the wherewithal to study, you understand? I mean, that's what we had. It didn't make us any better than anybody. But when we studied and put it together in a practical way, that it allowed us to create the world in which we said we wanted to create. The thing that our people had to come to terms with was that it was a process. And so if everybody would at least understand process, that the way you derive at something you want to create is through a process. It doesn't happen magically. It doesn't happen overnight. It has everything to do with your ideation, your creation, and your manifestation of whatever it is you are looking for. Wherever the outcome, it's the same thing. It's the same process. Ideation, creation, manifestation. In between creation and manifestation, it's a lot of work. I mean, a lot of spitting dirt. You got to make this thing happen. You got to work on it day and night. And that's what the leadership, like Prince Asiel and all them, they look. We used to go out and, you know, say, I need y'all to do this. And we go out and don't do it. And we come back and they say, well, you didn't do it? I said, no. I said, why you didn't do it? Well, I thought, and they would say, wrong. I sent you out there. You were supposed to go the way I was thinking. Now, if you go back the way I was thinking and the way I was talking, you'd be all right. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, if we went back to the same scenario and did it the way they told us to do it, it worked. And so it's a lot of dynamics as it relates to how this thing works, man. How we derive its freedom, peace, truth, justice, mercy, love, understanding. In a world, first of all, y'all got to get this book called Report from Iron Mountain. It's a little book. I think you can get it like PDF or whatever. And what it was is some magazine editors, and this is extremely important to the subject matter today. Some in the 60s, some magazine editors got together and they decided to find out what it would take to create peace in America and peace on the earth. And the United States government got in on it, so they had the greatest philosophers and thinkers and all kind of people, anthropologists, everything. And they asked them to do papers and create algorithms and create templates to see how they would do it. And they said all these great minds and great people, they came up with all kinds of things. I mean, powerful. And said, but the magazine people, they say, well, something was bothering them because it seemed like something was missing in all of their presentations. And they say they began to study that. You said when they studied it, they said with all of them great thinkers, all of those philosophers and scientists who put all of these models and all this stuff together for this project, he said they was all, he said, I'm not downplaying them, but he said they all missed the point. It was something that they didn't get. And he said what it was is they were all operating from the wrong premise. And he said that the premise that they were using was that the social system uses war to do its bidding.
Right.
It was the wrong premise. Yeah. He said the premise was that the social system is war. Now, when you understand that, how are you going to win from the arm sitting in the chair? How are you going to win working a job to keep the world going that the very person who's trying to kill you is pushing? So here, everybody working all these jobs, and they say they want to be free, but they working jobs to help keep the world alive that's killing them. Now, that's why earlier I said cognitive dissonance. So you go out and work every day and you talking about freedom. But you say, hey, Ralph, I would finish this discussion, but I got to go to work. And now you discussing how to get out. And say, well, I'll be gone for about 10, 12 hours. Now, when you go to the faucet, if you pay your bill, the water come out, right? If you pay your gas, the gas come out.
Right.
If you pay, you pay gas, you put it in the car, the armed forces never shuts down. The police, they don't never shut down. You name it, the corporations don't ever shut down. You know what I'm saying? The postal people nothing ever shuts down. But you figure that you're going to create a world where you shut down and serve them for a period of time? How do you catch up with that?
Okay.
That's why I'm talking about the cognitive dissonance, man. We not thinking in reality. And we've been inspired and maneuvered into exchanging reality for some mysticism. For years, you heard people say, I hope, up with hope, hope. The problem is, hope is not a plan. So if you ain't putting no plan, what is hope? I mean, it's one of them things, it's one of them mystical things that don't do nothing. It just slices you up from an emotional perspective. You know what I'm saying? But it don't make you go out and do nothing. It don't even say go out and do nothing.
Okay.
So I don't want to continue to go on too much longer. I'm just so happy you and the brothers create this forum so that we can talk to our people, and we can talk to our people straight. I'm glad to hear Kohen on the line. You know, I respect him so much, more than he even know. I watch all the information that he puts out there tirelessly on his Facebook and all that kind of stuff. He don't even know. We all in his business. You know. And the great redeeming angel, the great ambassador who has led this charge all these years, even when they thought, that Ben-Ami, was the only person. You understand? I mean, we served Ben-Ami for years because he was our Mashiach. You understand?
Yeah.
And And now, you understand what I'm saying? We got to take it on somewhere else. And the ambassador who helped deliver all the people and who helped create the environment for our sovereignty and everything by going to all those nations and bringing those nations up to Zion. And so we could, though our sins be red as scarlet, you know, that we would reason together. And the ambassador created that environment for us to reason together with nations all over the planet, which was the crowning substance to our sovereignty. And so now we're trying to get people to understand the sovereignty, and it's sort of hard for them to conceptualize because they think somebody for it. That's not how it goes in reality, you know.
Right.
And so I just want to thank the mighty Hebrew Prince and everybody's on the phone and everybody's listening on the line, just giving us a chance to reason together and bring this discourse that we may be able to share with you the great victories of the African Hebrew Israelite nation of Jerusalem in the Holy Lands today. And we're able to talk to you and share things, you know, because that's been our greatest desire, you know, that after all we went through, we at least can come and say, well, hey, if the fire is hot and I done gone before you and burnt my hand on it, could you just trust me if I say don't put your hand on the fire? That's where we got to get to. Because all we want is the best for our people, and our people is humanity. The best for humanity, because the whole earth is suffering under the diabolical manifestations of this cruel and unjust system. All we want is to see our people free. And that first 50 years, man, we were going hard. Yeah, we were going hard. But now, they say when we looked in the mirror, they say we were children at one time, but now we look in the mirror and we're not children anymore. You know what I'm saying? We was 50 years old. We 50 years old now. So some things we done learned, you know, that we can pass on so our people don't have to reinvent the wheel, you know.
Can I add to that thought? I mean, Nancy, just a little bit right there at that point.
Yeah.
See,
man.
that is a sacrifice. See, I had to sacrifice. I could have been a millionaire as an artist. I was a professional artist before I even came here. I knew I had my career there. I had to accept what I wanted to integrate into that world and be rich. And the people that I was merging into that was going to support and sponsor my career, or I had to come home. I had to make that decision. I was offered this. I had both of these things in my hand, and I knew one would work, and I knew the other one, well, it was a lot of doubt. I don't know about the land. I ain't met nobody over there. I don't know nobody over there. Yeah, it was a whole lot of things that I was leaning toward going to do because they're giving me money now. I'm already being carried. You understand them? That's what they're doing to our people now. They're giving them credit. You understand? They're giving them things. You gotta get a new house. You ain't going nowhere. You just got a new house. Ain't no point even talking to that person because they're not going nowhere. They just got a new house. They just brought a 2017 car. They're not going nowhere. So don't waste your. It says, "Do not cast your pearls to what? Deaf ears."
That's why. That's right.
I mean, it's the same thing about being out on that corner. What are you protesting for out there in the streets? Some of the things like that. Are you talking about let us go, or are you out there arguing with people on the streets about nothing? Because they don't want to go nowhere. You casting pearls to what? Deaf ears, blind eyes. They don't even want to hear that. You just standing up there insulting people instead of protesting to leave. That's what we did when we went out on the streets. We was the only Hebrews out on the streets back in 1976. You understand? Plaguing the heathen to let us go.
Right.
And it worked. Now see, did it work?
It worked.
They let us
it
go.
Worked. It worked.
They didn't let nobody else go, but they let us go because that's what we was downtown protesting for.
Right.
And I mean, if you're going to go down and do that, I mean, it's one thing when you got laborers out there But those brothers that standing on the corner, they just got some scriptures and they arguing and fussing and trying to get some people that ain't gonna change to change.
Mm-hmm.
God's calling us into this mission. This is by providence, not coincidence. This is providence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
From a family called the Gregories. All right, the Gregories. All the way back to the Gregory, the households that I was a slave in, of every a slave that they had. The grandmother, my great grandmother, they got the whole record in their family. They got all this property and all that in their Bibles. They can go back 7 to 8 generations. So can we.
Yeah.
Not all this history until I got ready to come here. My mother told me, she said, listen, all right, you understand? Your grandfather, my grandfather, your great grandfather got killed in the Marcus Garvey movement. He was one of the hierarchy up there. You messing up. Family has been targeted for death. You understand? Because all they wanted to know was any Gregory's born in the male family. And this is what Baba Dick Gregory was talking about when he was saying they knew King back from 3 or 4, 5 generations. They was waiting on the rise of the Messiah out of that particular family. They knew who the messianic personage would be that would come out of King's family. Got to a certain kind of point where he was ready to separate with the people into a burning house. When he got ready to separate, then they said it's time to kill him.
Yeah.
They do with all of our leaders. When it's time to when they get to that point where they're ready to separate, they kill them.
Okay, absolutely. And rest in completeness to Baba Dick Gregory. I wanted to read something to y'all, this last portion, and we closing out. I'm going to read this from out of Imitation of Life, the formula. And we're going to have closing out statements with the Divinic National Jurisdiction and the Levitical Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction. So it reads on this wise. It says, the other problem faced by spirituality is that it is equated as religion, mainly associated with an occurrence in your life on Sunday mornings. Upon close inspection, you will discover Eurocentric religion was elucidated to you for a specific purpose, to prevent your search for Yah and exposure to spirituality rooted in truth. You also discover it to be an associate member of the same destructive, explosive team, who in sane mind would dare seek or imagine spiritual solutions having to be found beyond the system's prescribed religion. Here again, we are forced to fight within the limits of predetermined definitions.
That's right.
Okay, that's the last quotation that I'm going to be quoting from out of the book, An Imitation of Life, Redefining What Constitutes True Life and Living in the New World by the late Ben Ahmed. Now, before we close out, last words. Starting, whoever wants to take the floor, what would you tell the younger generation of Israel right now? Because right now, mentally, most younger generation Israelites, they are building just on the academic understanding of Israel and not dealing with what is practical and realistic. They don't have the tools to identify true freedom, which we already know that has already been established. What would you tell the youthful Israelites today whose purpose only is doctrinally to wait on something to save them from out of America? Because most Hebrew Israelites are not nationalists. Most of them are not. So what would you tell the people in closing out what they need to do to come from out of this situation that we're in, dealing with the prophetic destiny and the rising of the children of Israel? Hallelujah.
Well, I would say one of the things is that for us, it's not going to be everybody. And it's not even going to be a lot of people. Because when you look at the history of movements, migrations, and all that kind of stuff, it wasn't never a whole lot of people. A lot of people didn't want to leave for various reasons, some of them which you elucidated a few minutes ago. What we're saying is that the thing to do is to connect yourself. If you're resonating out of here, you got to go to the 18th chapter of Revelation. That's the mandate for all of us who want a better world. We got to come out, because when you go to the 18th chapter, it not only tells you to come out, it tells you the reason why you should come out, because it's not a nice thing. It's not a nice thing taking place. And let's just look at the reality. Trump has just come in and said all the things that all the white people wanted to say the whole time. They was held back by politics. All up so they can say whatever they want to say. Hey, they call nigga, something just like he said, I'll punch somebody in the face. Say, I can go to the park right now and kill somebody, ain't nothing gonna happen to me, And I'm saying that's manifest destiny. That's what they've been dealing with. That's what they're doing. You can't beat them in their house at that game. And that's what we found out. So for those, we're only talking to those who resonate. We ain't trying to convince everybody. And we ain't really trying to convince anybody. The reality of it is, if you resonate with the message of the 18th chapter of Revelations, well, the place has been prepared for you. And we're not just saying the place Israel. Wherever we are, those who have extricated ourselves, you have the ability to attach to the spirit and the mindset of free men and women who can answer your questions and point you to the way to the next level and the next phase. So we're not looking for everybody, because it's not going to be everybody. All we want to do is be there for the people who want a better world, who want a better life, who want peace, truth, justice, mercy, love, and understanding, because the seeds have been sown for that. And we are looking to eat the fruit. That's right. But it's a process. But we're closer to the fruit than we were. But we couldn't skip the process. So my thing for us, for people who are serious like yourself, Mighty Hebrew, and all of those who resonate with you, same thing with Kohen, the key is understanding Revelations 18. We got to come out. You can't get it being inside of her. You can't do it. And the first reality is you have to come out in your mind. In your mind, you got to hear your own voice saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore. You got to hear your voice saying that, not somebody else's voice. You got to hear your voice saying that. Yeah. And when we understand, for all of us, when we understand it's not going to be everybody, then calm down. You were talking about the brothers in the street and hollering and screaming. We're saying calm down. We learned that wasn't the way. We had to calm down and look at this thing from a real perspective. And when we looked at the real perspective, we go to the scriptures, and the scriptures are replete with telling you, whenever there were movements, it wasn't a whole bunch of people.
Never was.
And if it was a whole bunch of people, they got whittled out by whatever wilderness they went into. Because when the conditions got hard, a lot of them went back to their own vine and fig tree. Yep. Went back to old behaviors. So in closing, I'm saying, if we hadn't done the 40 years, then I can see intelligent people still groping in the darkness, man. But we did the 50 years to prove that we could self-govern, to prove that we could take care of ourselves, to prove that we could feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, and have industry and make marry and marriages and all of that under our own umbrella. As the African Hebrew Israelite nation of Jerusalem, you ain't got to reinvent that. We invented it. So the fact that it's invented, it's just enough to resonate and connect. We know it ain't gonna be everybody, so we ain't gonna bust our hearts open trying to make sure it's everybody, because that don't even make any sense. The sense is to resonate and vibrate to the extent where you gravitate or you cause people to come into your space who are feeling like you're feeling. And it's going to be more of that going on. And it's been more of that going on, in these 50 years and going into these next 50, it's intense. But the reason why is because we created the situation which created the discourse that everybody's having now. So with 6 degrees of separation, some people who know some people who know some people. So we basically all talking to each other. We just don't know. So those of us who are who are resonating out, find those people who are resonating out. And we ain't hard to find. You just call the mighty Hebrew, he'll point the direction. But so in closing, I'm saying, come out of her, my people, and be not partakers of her plagues, for her iniquities have reached the heavens, and God doth reward her justly, double as she done unto you. It's become the habitation of demons and the hold of every foul and unclean and hateful bird. You're watching all of this hate and insidiousness and this diabolicalness. You're watching it every day. You're not just watching it in movies. You're watching it play out in the news, in people's real lives around you. So pay attention. Heed the signs. The signs say, come out. Now, as a matter of fact, in that movie Get Out, which is a great name for the movie, that really stuck with us.
I went to the movies to see that joint. That joint was crazy.
Yes. Now, that one song, one of the songs in the movie they said it was a Swahili song. And when they translated it said, listen to your ancestors and get out. So listen to your ancestors who are alive and well today. Because we are alive and well today, and we the ancestors.
Absolutely. And
you ain't got to die. You ain't got to die to be an ancestor.
Absolutely. And it tells us in Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7 to 8, they go to our fathers and they tell us.
Man, what that? All y'all got to do is come now. We out of here. We out of here. In mind, body, and spirit, our world has begun. We're just going into the next phase. Yeah, we got broken arms and broken limbs. We got bandages on our heads. Some of us have lost legs, and some of us done lost loved ones, and walking around with all kind of stuff. But we limping to the next 50 years.
Hallelujah.
Okay.
Last but not least, you have anything to say, Kohen, before we close out?
Yeah, and adding to that, we have this going back to the ancestors concept. When you're in the lands of the Babylon, don't think that you don't have ancestors that are still with you. I mean, right. Think of Yahweh Sebaot, we're talking about the Lord of hosts, right? Now, those ancestors are with the Most High. We are the bloodlines of those ancestors, and they can talk to us wherever we at. The problem is, do we listen to the voices of our ancestors that are within us? Do we?
It's in the blood.
We don't, because we caught up into this illusion of a world that we don't have a chance to let our ancestors really guide us in what to do. They're the ones that's going to tell us what their mistakes were.
That's right.
I'm dealing with the ancestors that was over here in this land. I know a lot of things that I would have never known unless I came here to live and walk and run around. Now I'm seeing my mother coming back through my children. I'm seeing my father coming back through my children. I mean, this their spirit is only I gave them life again. They gave me life, now I'm giving them back life. Not tell my daughter, I'm raising you now. You under my charge, you understand? I understand who you are. But see, then the old folks used to say, don't talk that, you gonna mark that baby. You know, folks used to say, if you mark that baby, you keep saying he act just like Uncle George. You marking that baby. That spiritual contact. You can raise a child to be just like somebody else that you love. They even have their look, acts, you know, their behavior be, wow, he do that. He smiled just like Uncle Joe. You find out as he grow up, he will be Uncle Joe.
It's like that, Coy.
Yo, I'll go ahead. Right.
You know, no, they don't want. It said, yeah, Uncle Joe used to put down a hammer.
Right, right. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Again, giving all praise and honor to Yahweh, the supreme, intelligent, powerful one of our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. We would like to say hallelujah, Yahweh. It's an honor and a privilege to be here again. We on the Most High Children TV. Our host, Gedadiah. Are you there, brother Gedadiah? There you go, right there. So before we close out, you know, this was a powerful presentation. I know you and your Isha, y'all up, y'all listening. Do you have any questions for me, Prince Amiel, or the Kohen Eleazar before we close out?
Actually, they laid it out pretty good. I mean, I saw one question in the chat room where they wanted to know what they suggest going to Israel. But but they laid it out pretty good. I'm just sitting like a sponge, just soaking up all the information that the elders are putting out tonight.
Hallelujah, hallelujah. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to have you here, Nasik Shah Amiel, as well as Eleazar. Again, I pray that y'all Yisrael continue to bless you, to keep y'all, and to continue to give you eternal completeness. I'm just glad that we're here. May the Most High bless all of us. In closing out, I would like to say a lot of tov to everybody. We will be having part 3. You know, this was part 2. We will be having the last part 3. You know, once I talk to Prince Asiel to get the date, we will have part 3 with the main speaker, Prince Asiel ben Yisrael. So again, I'm just happy that Prince Amiel ben Yisrael, you came through, and as usual, you know how to really, really bring forth an understanding on the psychological level, because a lot of Israelite leaders, they're not dealing with the psychology of what's going on with us as a people. So to close out, I would like to say Shalom Aleichem to everybody in Lalato, and to all my brothers and sisters over in the land. I would like to say Shalom to everybody. Hallelujah. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom, shalom, kulam. Toda reba.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.